Hello everybody, it is Lee Zephyr here, back for episode 3 of the Lee Zephyr book collection. On the last one, we talked about the self-help books and like mental positivity kind of books, and then before that we did cookbooks. This one we're getting into our non-fiction, mostly biography and biographical type books, but a few others mixed up in there. So, without further ado, I'm going to get started. So the first thing I'm going to go over is I have a couple of these, and I don't know where one of them is. Okay, so the first one, we got 3 books here that are from Books A Million. I have 3 that are kind of in the same series, which is the Who HQ, which they do the What Is, Who Was kind of series. So first one I got is actually one of my wife's books, and it is What Is the Story of the Wizard of Oz. And again, she is a huge Wizard of Oz fan, and it basically just tells the actual story about the making of the book and movies, just all these cool little factoids and learning about it. And then in with that, because I'm a huge history buff, I have Who Was Joan of Arc, which is about Joan of Arc, obviously, the French maiden. And then, because I'm also a big nerd, I have Who Was Stanley. Now these are just really great in general, but also they're going to be great with Ivy when she gets older, our daughter. So that way she can get to read some of these. But yeah, we're a big fan of these. These are the 3 that we have right now. I think we may have one other one, but I'm not sure where it's at. There's a few books that I know that we have that I don't necessarily know where they're at. So all the little odds and ends books that didn't make it into these videos, I'll show at a later time. I'll do like and obviously any new ones we get, I'll have to do an update anyways. But yeah, so we got 3 of the Who HQ, which is Stanley, Wizard of Oz, and Joan of Arc. All really cool. Where to set these when I get home. So speaking of my wife, another one of her books that I actually got her for Christmas because she's a big fan of this kind of stuff is Conspiracy Theories, History's Greatest Plots, Collusions, and Cover-Ups. Look at that there. So you got stuff like talking about the Holy Grail and the Knights Templar. You've got, let's find another good one here. What is this? Where are we at here? The bombing of Pearl Harbor conspiracy theories, Gulf War syndrome, and then you've got stuff like where are we at here? Political cover-ups. I got political cover-ups, murder mysteries, celebrity things. You've got war stories, the unknown, secret societies. They've got your number, just all kinds of really crazy conspiracy stuff, which is fun. I think it's fun reads. We like a lot of the conspiracy videos on YouTube. So I got this one for her, and I don't know if she's going to read it yet. I'll have to ask her and get a review on that. So I have this one, which my mother-in-law also got me, the story, get a little bit up there, The Bible as One Continuing Story of God and His People, by Max Lucado and Randy Frazee. I was raised in church. My dad was a preacher for most of our life growing up, and raised in a Christian household, and so religion and spirituality plays a big part in my life. And so I think it's important to have some of these books on hand. I enjoy reading them. I've not got to read this one yet, but it's definitely one that I'm interested in and happy to have. This is an older one, which we got again from like a family. Like at one point we got like a huge, when we first moved out, they gave us a huge box of all these old books and stuff. And this one is a step-by-step book about budgerigars, which I guess is birds. So it's like a bird book, which is interesting. I didn't even know we had this. Ew. I'm not a big bird guy. I like bird watching stuff, but not big on like bird owning or raising. So we have a book about birds, everybody. Next we have a couple biography books that my wife got me, and the first one is Robin Williams' biography. I've not got to read this yet, mainly because I can't bring myself to yet, because I'm a huge Robin Williams fan. I was absolutely devastated when he passed, and it still makes me sad to think about it. And that's why it's hard for me to bring myself to read the book, because of how much I really loved him growing up, and even as an adult. As someone that took theater as a kid and wanted to be an actor myself, he was one of my like inspirations and icons that I tried to emulate and be a lot like, and fashion a lot of my personality stuff on. So it was really rough, but she got me this, and I'm really thankful, and I do want to read it, and someday I will, and I'll let you guys know on that. Now, another one that I have read, or at least I think I've mostly read, I don't know if I've finished it yet. I think I am like, seeing where I folded the page. Oh no, I had a bookmark. Look, this is, I improvised bookmarks, so this was actually a tag, like a little thing that came with a lanyard I'd gotten, my little X-Men lanyard. But this one is a Jimmy Stewart, another actor that I was real big on. We did the It's a Wonderful Life play back in high school, in which I played George Bailey. And during that time was when I was introduced and became obsessed with Jimmy Stewart and all of his filmography, such as Harvey and Winchester 73, Rear Window, Vertigo, just an endless list. Little Shop Around the Corner, You Can't Take It With You. His filmography is amazing. He's a great actor. I've still not got to see all of his movies. There's still a lot of his I want to see. Even some of his big ones, like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. That's one I've always wanted to see and I've not got around to yet, but I know I need to. Call Northside 777 is one of my favorites of his that most people don't talk about when you talk about the big ones. Or, you know, it's one of my favorite underrated ones of his. I actually have a few more Jimmy Stewart items collection stuff. One of which I will get to show off to you later. The other one you may have already seen in some of my videos, or may see in future videos, which is my Harvey mug from the Jimmy Stewart Museum. So yeah, I've actually almost finished. You can see how worn this book is. She got this for me not even like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but I read it so much. I used to take this to work every day and would sit and read it on every break, and I was just so hooked on this book and learning as much about him as I could. And so like it yeah, so it's, you could tell the signs of a well-read book when it's already worn and frayed, and I've not even had it no longer than it's less than 10 years. I know it's probably around 5 or more years, 4 or 5 years that I've had it, but man, you know that's a sign. So next is a travel book, because as I said in one of the earlier videos, I told you guys my wife and I went to Disney World on our honeymoon. We got married May 14th, 2016. And so we went and got Burn Bomb's 2016 Walt Disney World, because of course, why not? And it has like stuff for like Hollywood Studios, and it's got stuff for transportation accommodations. You got stuff for Magic Kingdom. They also have, if I'm right, let me find the start of Magic Kingdom here. Yeah, they have like little mini maps at the beginning of each one with all the attractions, and then they have, turn it upside down, they go through like each of the attractions. So this was a very handy guide. We actually did a lot of planning out our trip. We would look at the maps, get an idea of which attractions were there, and which ones we wanted to see, which ones we was the most excited to see, and we would go through and we made a list, a little notebook. We had a little mini notebook that we kept lists in and kept tabs, and kind of planned out, okay, this is the one we're going to ride first, or on this day we're going to go to this park and ride these. So yeah, so now it's just this really good like time capsule. It's just really nostalgic and reminds me of our trip to Disney World and our honeymoon, which was a sweet thing. Next is one that is kind of a classic. Most people know about this one, and it is The Diary of Anne Frank, or Anne Frank, Diary of a Young Girl. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, one of the big classics, right? I mean, everybody's heard well, most people, especially in the literary sense, I think, has heard about the Diary of Anne Frank. So it's a nice little chapter book. Again, I read it in high school. I think my wife did too. And hopefully Ivy will get to read it. I think it's an important read. I think there's a lot of important themes and content within this story and this book. And so I think it's definitely an important read. So, gotta have that. Next up, I have two books that are kind of similar to each other because born in 1991. So, we got Things 90s Kids Realize. And it's got all kinds of little factoids about 90s kids. It goes, we had pro wrestling at its best. I agree. Me and my brother-in-law, who you may know from the Study in Cinema podcast, we were actually just talking about the old school wrestling stuff. Scholastic book orders were exciting. It's just all this little trip down memory lane for the 90s. But if that wasn't enough, I also have another one, which is Totally Sweet 90s. From Clear Cola to Furby and grunge. It's, to whatever. The toys, the taste, and trends that defined a decade. Yeah, I got Kid Cuisine, juice boxes, I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie books, Goosebump books. Look at all the literary stuff that came in, just randomly flipping through the pages. And also, just to add to that, I should say, I showed you my writing prompt cards on the last one. I do also have these 90s reaction cards, which are very much the same. It's like conversation cards, but for the 90s. So, for instance, let's pull one out here, see what we get. Would the 1990s be considered your favorite decade? It's definitely one of mine. Everybody answer in the comments below. Let me know if the 90s would be considered either one of your favorite decades or your top favorite, maybe, you know? So answer below in the comments. Let us know. But yeah, big 90s kid, big advocate for reliving the glory days, as they say. So I had to have some 90s books and cards, you know? So next up is one of those Jimmy Stewart items I was telling you about. From the Jimmy Stewart Museum. My wife also got me this for Christmas, which is Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life, the original screenplay. And so yeah, you got like the actual like original screenplay stuff. So come on, I had to have it. I told you, I was in the play. I've studied the movie, watched it multiple times, and this is amazing. This is an amazing gift. Super excited. This next one, I don't know. This one I've had since I was a kid. I remember seeing this like in my closet mixed in with a bunch of stuff when I was like, say, in middle school, I think. Definitely in high school. So it's like very worn. It's really old, but I thought it'd be funny to show it off on here. The Book of Clean Jokes. We've literally had this. Look, the back cover's not even on it. Like, it's so torn and frayed. But it's been in like, I'm surprised I still have it. I didn't know I still had it. But we used to sit here and like read through some of these. Let me find a good joke. So it says, if I lay one egg here and another over there, how many eggs will I have, Johnny? And Johnny says, teacher, I really don't think you can do it. It's a silly, stupid joke. Or like, oh, little Sammy moaned, it's in the cards that I'm getting a licking tonight. That's stupid, Sammy, said Pete. Nobody can tell the future by using cards. And Sammy says, my mom can. She'll take one look at this report card and tell me exactly what will happen to me when Dad gets home. Just like silly, stupid jokes. I don't know why. As a kid, we found them hilarious, and now I'm just kind of like, these are ridiculous. But it's a lot of fun, and you can tell, again, those old, worn books. But no bookshelf is complete. You don't want all your books on the bookshelf to look nice and pristine. Come on. You gotta have some that look worn and have been read, and you can feel the amount of like usage out of them, you know. And next, I've got a couple more books. This one my grandmother actually got me for Christmas 2013. She actually signed it and wrote a little message in the back, a little sweet message, because may or may not know, I'm a huge Christmas person. So it is Home for Christmas, and it basically has like little stories about like people, different writers and authors writing about Tennessee celebrations. There's Sugar Santa, all these like fond Christmas memories, Christmas in the kitchen, Christmas at home, all these fond golden memories of Christmas in Colorado, just different Christmas memories and traditions, and it even has in some spots like some recipes, and then they'll have like music notes for like Christmas carols. So it's a really sweet book. I've actually read through a little bit of this, a good chunk of it actually. I try to read a little bit more every year, and so thank you, Mamaw. This is a great book, and I do love it. The best of all gifts around any Christmas tree, the presence of a happy family all wrapped up in each other. Nice. And lastly, I have another gift from my wife a few years back, because again, we're uber nerds, and I have the Book of Mythicality, Rhett and Link. Obviously famous YouTubers, Field Guide to Curiosity, Creativity, and Tomfoolery with Rhett and Link. And yeah, so big fans of Rhett and Link. They're like old school YouTube in a way. I mean, they're still going. Like, Good Mythical Morning is huge. We still watch it. I was just talking about it the other day with my wife and brother-in-law. We watch it about every day. And so yeah, I got the Book of Mythicality, and I even have their was it the Lost Causes of Bleak Creek on Audible. So I'm a big fan of theirs, and I've not got to read this yet. I have listened to most of the audiobook, but I've not got to finish it yet, but it is pretty good. And so yeah, so there is my nonfiction. So next we will get into comics and graphic novels, and then lastly we'll finish up with fiction. Again, I'm really thinking my fiction books is going to take 2 different sections or 2 separate videos because it is so large. But the comics not. I mean, I've got a lot of comics, but I think with comics it'll be easier to kind of go through those. So I'll see you guys in the next video.